Hey, welcome back into Eye on Agriculture. I'm Brityne Rucker. Foreign ownership of ag land has been an issue for a long time. It actually traces back to the origins of the U.S. In fact, today 14 states specifically forbid or at least limit non-resident corporations from acquiring interest of agricultural land within their state. We're joined now with Roger McEowen, professor of agricultural law and taxation at Washburn University. As always, Roger, pleasure talking with you today.
Good to be with you, Brityne.
Now, this has been getting a lot of attention recently. Each state has taken their own approach. How can you expand on that?
Well, you're right. This has received a lot of legislative attention in numerous states across the country in both the 22 and the 23 legislative session, including Kansas. And it's a big issue. Of course, the high-profile country is China and their acquisition of strategic land purchases across the country, and a number of years ago acquiring Smithfield and being a major player in the hog industry. It's really caught the Congress's attention, but also state legislatures across the country.
Now, there actually was a recent case in Florida. What are some of the highlights there, and what was the court's ruling on that?
Well, the Florida law actually went into effect July 1, and before it went into effect, it was challenged by some Chinese citizens living in Florida. They were not naturalized U.S. citizens. They were still they were living in Florida, but they were Chinese citizens, and a real estate brokerage company that challenged it on constitutional grounds. But the court said there's no due process violation. The statute was clear as to where you could and could not acquire agricultural land. There was no equal protection violation either, because the court said it didn't discriminate based on race. It discriminates based on alienage, where you're from, no matter what your race is. And that is an approved way to classify people. And the court said there's an overriding public policy concern in terms of who owns the means of food production in this country.
Now, Roger, several high-profile events have actually spurred a renewed interest in foreign ownership of ag land. Talk about that and give us an update.
Yeah, not only the strategic purchases, particularly by the Chinese near military bases and air force bases in the country, but we've had we've had a number of mysterious things happen to food production facilities across the country in the past year and a half. And those are going unexplained, and we really don't know. In many instances, it hasn't been discovered what the actual link is to the cause of those. But we do know it's been attacks on food processing facilities and pipelines and kind of key infrastructure facilities across the country. So this is really heightened the issue for legislators both at the state and federal level.
Well, Roger, thanks so much for coming on and chatting with me. Everyone, stick around. Eye on Ag will be back after the break.